Sambhavi. I think you have really set the stage for our next panel here, discussing about challenges, discussing about how we can challenge each other, and discussing about how environmental challenges relate to cross-country collaborations, and we can develop many more ideas going forward. So I want to start with this challenge. I hope everyone can hear the challenge here, and then we can move on to our Eco Ambassadors and Millburn challenge. Let's see if you can't hear the sound, we'll see how we can make it happen.
I don't think we can hear Radhika. Maybe it's just me, but...
Is it? Oh, you can't hear?
I don't think we can. The sound's not coming. The
image okay. So maybe we will have to skip it because I'll send you the link. It was a environmental get sturdy challenge by 2 girls, and they are saying get sturdy by doing some environmental acts. So we can all become physically fit by doing some environmental challenge and making sure that others are on board. Here are, so I just want to quickly send the list of all our amazing environmental challenge winners, as well as environmental Bs of the grades, and I'll give you some context to it. Here are all the folks that are there. Many of us are here. So it will be great to hear from all of you. And just a quick background on the environmental challenge. This is run by the Millburn Climate Group, Millburn for Climate Group, as well as Millburn Ed Foundation. Millburn is in New Jersey, and we are focusing on creating environmental challenges so that we can also support our schools. So we partner with the Millburn Ed Foundation to ensure that we have some environmental thinking and students can inspire each other. So here are all our amazing environmental challenge winners. There are also environmental Bs for each of the grades, and you can jump in, anyone can jump in at any time. Just to address some basic questions that I had, and we can then leave it to many others who want to ask you questions. So first of all, thank you for participating in these environmental challenges, because your videos are not only inspiring, but it's also inspiring for many others, including the adults. So it's really been fascinating to see all your videos. I don't know if I can share my slide again. Let's see if I can share. And I can also share this link as well. Here are all the environmental challenge winners and what they are suggesting. Here are some YouTube videos that they have posted. We can always share this and get your insights. The competition for this round, which was last year, was about cutting carbon emissions. And these amazing environmental challenge winners in New Jersey, Millburn, have been able to share all their ideas to see how we can cut down carbon emission. Just going to see what they are suggesting, some of the ideas here, and then we can go on to what the environmental winners are saying. So what is the focus of your environmental challenge? Some of them was food waste, some of them was electric vehicles and recycling, reducing carbon emissions, work for the world, families' carbon footprint. How do you measure carbon footprint and how can we reduce the carbon footprint? Sustainable fishing. Those were topics that had come up. And then we had these topics. What is the main idea or the main idea behind your environmental challenge? It was reducing carbon footprint by buying fish in accordance with the season. Small actions, changing habits daily can reduce emissions significantly, reducing greenhouse emissions, composting, reducing carbon emissions by controlling food. So many ideas actually came forward. I want to now invite all our winners and Bs not all of us are here, but for folks who are here, I wanted to first ask you, what is it that motivated you to do the project, this environmental challenge, and what was your inspiration for that particular idea? So anyone who's here can actually say a few words, and maybe you can start with your name and your grade. Suvid, yes?
Hello, I'm Suvid Bordia and I am in 7th grade. So my topic was about food waste and the role it plays in our society. And my inspiration was basically I saw schools and people around me wasting lots of food, not even eating it. And I realized that not only producing that food was made through planting and farming, which uses lots of carbon emissions, but people are also wasting money. And I just wanted to show how much of an environmental impact we could help, not only in our town, but in the whole country, if we just tried to stop it a little bit. And I also wanted to try to make it so not only the people who are consuming this food will stop wasting as much food, but also the grocery stores and the producers of the food will be a bit more conscious about what they're doing.
Thank you, Suvid. That was perfect. Food wastage, something that we have to really tackle. Yes, Alex?
Yeah, so my name is Akula and I'm currently a 9th grader. So the topic of my environmental video was electric vehicles and recycling. And I mainly wanted to show that the economy can sustain itself even with environmental changes. So yeah.
That was your main motivation. That's so fascinating to hear, because sometimes we feel that we need to construct more things and we need to do much more. And you're talking about we can sustain ourselves with less. That's great. Anyone else? Yes, Anvi?
Yeah, my name's Anvi, Anand, and Shriya, Iyer, and I worked on this project together. And we wanted to spread awareness to our community and enlighten them on how the environment is constantly affected by vehicles and how walking, like those smaller links, rather than driving, can improve those effects. And we developed this inspiration from personal experiences, like that of traveling to school in town by foot and by cars.
Mm-hmm. That's really good, because Shriya, I'll ask you to go next. That's really good because in New Jersey, I don't know about others, it's so easy for us to take a car out and go from one place to the other. So now making it being a part of our consciousness, how can we walk more? How many of us go to school walking? I think those are really important topics. Shriya, if you want to go next. Thanks, Anvi.
While walking and sometimes biking, we began to notice that taking a car for short distances was not only unnecessary, but was also creating excess damage to our ecosystem. Themes of not choosing the easier path, in this case cars, have surfaced throughout history, one example being Dumbledore's famous quote, "We must all face the choice between what is right and what is easy."
Wow.
And just to add into that, in this situation, the right choice would be using our own 2 feet to travel to closer places and avoid using cars for such trips. So even though cars may be convenient, it's creating damage to our environment, and walking can also put you in some shape as well. So might as well do that.
Thank you, Anvi. Maybe Adele can go next. Yes.
So I was really concerned about
which grade are you in, Adele? If you can say that, and then
I'm in 4th grade, and I was really concerned about how people were driving so much that was causing global warming and climate change, and I really wanted to help with that because I didn't want global warming, climate change to happen. And during the pandemic, I also helped my mom with going to the lab, planting seeds, and transplanting, which harvesting and growing plants.
Fascinating. Great. Thank you so much. Who wants to go next? On my question on what is it that motivated you to do your challenge and what was your inspiration? Anyone else? Maybe Neel, Jason, we haven't heard from you. Yes, Neel, please.
What I think like inspired me is that because the earth, right? We've been living on it for like a long time, right? And we kept from carbon dioxide from cars and a lot of more stuff. We are harming the earth, and the earth like helped us a lot from like giving us crops, trees, oxygen, and a lot more. And so then it inspired me to make a video to like save the earth. And then that's basically saying thank you to the earth for helping us.
Wow. Nice thought, saying thank you to the earth. And how much do we do that every day, and do we even think about it? I think that's such a great concept. Who else is left? Jason, your inspiration.
My inspiration was during the summer, there were a lot of like I couldn't even go out because of all the heat was coming and the temperatures was rising. And like it was even hard for me to just go out without any like hat on because it was too hot outside. And the reason for that was probably because of the climate, the global warming. And I was trying to present that the greenhouse gas emissions should be reduced to make our life be able to be more possible to go outside and have less heat and maybe more snows in the winter.
And we are seeing here in New Jersey, in Millburn, we didn't have any snow this time. So now it is a question to see whether summers will be hotter, winters will be less mild. This time we didn't get any, we couldn't do our snowboarding activities and playing in the snow, making snowman. I think seasons are changing, and so it's great that you're focusing on your projects. So my follow-up question to you all is when you were working on your individual projects, and again, the Jamboard is shared. So I ask the audience to please look at those videos that our students, our amazing environmental champions have been able to put forward. I want to ask you all whether working on the projects, were you able to learn something new? Maybe it can be environmental, or it could also be working in teams. You had different ideas, and how did you come about working or working together? Because I think it's something that we learn while we are doing any project. So anything that comes to mind. I think Shriya had her hand up, and then Adele. Shriya, you want to go first?
Oh, sorry, I didn't hear you. So there's a lot we learned during this project, but one of the main things for me, it's like the fact that cars produce so much greenhouse gas emissions. It's something everyone knows, but I feel like the real amount, it's kind of something not everyone realizes. So while we were researching about it, we discovered actually how much emissions cars produce. It's like 20 pounds of greenhouse gas emissions for every 1 gallon of gas burnt, which is a lot if you really think about it. We live in a town, which is in a city, which is in a country, which is in the world. Every single person has a car. So it's just like the sheer amount of emissions that are being produced every single day from cars is just a little bit shocking to realize.
Thank you, Shriya, for putting those numbers and putting it in context for us. Adele?
So like I learned that the term carbon footprint is like the amount of greenhouse gases or carbon dioxide that is trapped into the atmosphere caused by human actions, which can be heating a house, driving or flying on an airplane. And also I learned that the greenhouse gases can like trap heat that can then lead to global warming or climate change.
Really important point on greenhouse gas emissions there. We have Anvi.
Oh, I think Suvid wanted to go.
Suvid was there. Oh, Suvid, I didn't see your hand. Hi, Suvid. Yes, please.
Yes, I was a solo person, but so again, I was on food waste, but so we had to make graphs, and the two things I basically learned from those graphs, first of all, obviously food waste, if we reduce it, we can reduce a bunch of greenhouse emissions, but also there's an incentive for the people to do it, right? Because people spend about like $2,000 a year on like food that they're eventually going to waste, so they could save money while helping the environment. Then also, I kind of always looked at it from like a consumer's point of view, like we are the only people who are wasting it. But then as I started to research, I realized that there's also like two other ways: the people who are producing the food and the people who are like selling the food, like grocery stores. So that's also displayed in my like solutions. But a third of like food that's produced doesn't make it to like the people who are eating it. So that just like gave me a huge perspective on this idea, and that also helped to inspire me to make this project.
So maybe bigger picture things, and then you're seeing how much of that is what you can do. I think that's really something to consider, because sometimes with these bigger perspectives we get lost and we feel that we can't do anything, and there are these huge numbers that we have to tackle. But I think, as your examples are saying, you have been able to do your bit, you've been able to educate others, and I think that's what counts. Anvi?
Yeah, I just wanted to address one misunderstanding. I was just wondering, does anyone here use like an electric car or like a Tesla?
Well, we're about to get one, but not yet.
Okay. So like many people think that electric cars are more eco-friendly, but like in order to create the electricity that these cars rely on, fossil fuels are also burned in huge amounts, releasing lots of greenhouse gases, just like gasoline cars. So like electric cars may be more helpful, but they're also like gasoline cars. So like going back to my like our original point, like walking instead of, or like biking instead of driving those short miles, like that could really help our environment too. So
Great, thank you, Anvi. Thank you for sharing it. Anyone else who wants to share about the process of working on an environmental project? Where do you start? How do you go about looking at data? How do you go about consulting? How do you go about asking maybe some interviews in town, maybe some experts that you interviewed, or maybe you looked at some sources? How do you know those sources are reliable? I'm sure these questions would have come up while you were doing your project. So anyone on any of these processes? Maybe Jason has not said anything, Jason, or anyone else. So, Vidya, you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. So I think there's like a few main steps. First, you have to find a problem. So for this, it was pretty simple. I just tried to see a list of main problems. And then it's also good to pick a problem that relates to you or you have some passion for it. So for me, like food is like a pretty big thing. So if you're emotionally connected to it somehow, you will want to work on it more and you'll want to solve the problem more. So and that's the first thing about finding a problem. Then you have to find what the issues are in that specific problem. You need to see like the main effects and the main bad impacts that are happening. And then finally you have to brainstorm solutions, and that's basically just like the most important part, because if you don't provide solvency, then there's no point of finding the problem in the first place. Then like onto sources. I tried to use sources only from like government websites like EPA.gov or NewJersey.gov, reliable sources like that. And always make sure, don't just use like an estimate like that you find on a random website, like a blogging website. Try to always use something made by a reliable study. And most pages, if they use a number, they will link to a study. and you can actually see the number of people used, the number of towns, the number of things that they studied. So that's a really good resource.
Thanks, Suvid, for breaking down all those processes for us. And it's fascinating to see how you approach the problem. Neel is here. Neel Tandon is here. I just wanted to ask him, Neel, if you can hear us on your inspiration and what is it that you learned from the process, Neel?
What I learned from the process is that, like, what I learned from doing this is that I learned basically how to save the earth from all these stuff that we do every single day, from using gas, bulbs, washing clothes, and everything. I learned in this program, I learned by researching on Google, I learned how to save the earth, to save the earth by what we're doing right now.
Thank you, Neel, for adding your perspective. I don't think we heard from Alex. Alex, maybe you can come in again. Okay, so Alex is here. Alex, on your what have you learned in the process?
Yeah, so what I learned about the process was that people need some sort of clear incentive in order to take environmental action. For example, at my school, even though like one of the school rules, it's like students should be encouraged to recycle. No one really recycles, to be honest. I just see like paper bags and cardboard trays like in the trash can all the time. And in addition, for one of our other solutions that didn't really make it, my team wanted to like use LED and fluorescent light bulbs as a potential solution. However, after a survey, we realized that people weren't really interested in them, mainly because there wasn't a clear incentive to use them. So, yeah.
So adding incentives, recycling would require some incentives. And what are those incentives? Maybe in our schools or in our communities, we can see if there is a list of even, a list of what plastic number can be recycled versus not. I think those are key initiatives that we can bring awareness to. That's great. Any other perspective before I move on to my next question, and then we can have our audience also ask questions.
Yeah, just to add on to Alex's point, I was on his team about incentives.
Tell me your name. Actually, your name is coming as Alex. So tell me your name again, please.
Oh, I'm Eshan.
Eshan, hi.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hello. Yeah, so about incentives, I also want to add on about how like the government is trying to put in place like certain tax incentives and things when you purchase electric cars. So also makes it more attractive to consumers when they want to purchase this. So it has like a eco-friendly positive and also a consumer positive.
So we are getting into the economics of environment here, and what are the incentives and how do we make behavior change with those incentives? That's really a deep question and observation from your end, Eshan. Thanks for being here and sharing your ideas. Any other? So I'll add my next question, opening it up to the audience here. What is your key environmental message that you want to share with your friends and family? And I just want to know whether that perspective changed before your project and after, and what is it that after your project you want to share with your friends and family that you have learned through this environmental challenge? Yes, Adele?
So the key information is that, first of all, the carbon emissions or footprints are usually caused by home energy use, and like waste disposal and like driving. And secondly, reducing the emissions can not only benefit to the environment, but it can also help your family save money by lowering down the electricity bill. Thirdly is that small like actions and their changing daily habits can like lower the emissions significantly. And lastly, small changes can add up to make like bigger. Small actions can add up to make like bigger changes.
I couldn't agree with you more. Small actions can make bigger changes, and we can have a ripple effect you saw Tabitha and Lillian sharing the newsletter, and now it's reaching 100 people. So all your initiatives now could reach like so many people. So I think I completely agree with you, Adele. Any other, Suvid?
Yeah, so I not only want to share message with like friends and family, but also the common community and also mainly grocery stores and sellers. So I provided like a few solutions. The three solutions were mainly to the grocery stores, but my solution for others is to just not buy too much, just buy a little less. And even if you have stuff at like try to make a plan of what you're gonna eat and try to control your eating as much as possible because it'll save you money and save the environment. And then for the grocery store, two of the main solutions I provided were actually using like a computer algorithm, and this would basically make it so the grocery stores could plan out specifically what food they're going to use and how much food to get and what food to use before due to expiration dates. So I think this will just help consumers get less too, and also the grocery stores manage their consumption.
Fantastic. On the supply side and demand side both, thank you for getting that perspective. Suvid, Neel?
My key environmental message to my friends and family and other people is that we already harmed the earth enough from carbon footprint and using carbon dioxide to harm the earth, but like we can like make a change to save the earth and stop using carbon dioxide, start using less carbon dioxide and less things that hurt the earth.
So being careful about our carbon consumption, how much are we producing carbon, and making sure that we are reducing our becoming a little bit more conscious about our activities. Thanks, Neel. Jason?
I want to share the community that you gotta think about before you implement the actions you do, and like change your lifestyle a little bit, as like a lot of people doesn't want to walk a lot and they just want to go in an easier way to a closer distance. So they usually like ride cars, but it'll be better if they use like walk there or like ride a bike and stuff, and like to like buy less clothes, as it brings a lot of harm to the environment too.
Nice. Thanks, Jason. Anyone else who wants to share their insights that they want to share with family and friends? Eshan?
So one like environmental message that I would share with my family friends is to like always be conservative, especially with like what you spend your money on. So you don't want to like spend excess and or buy excess things, and or buy things that are like not like sustainable. For example, plastic water bottles. While it may seem like you could use them, it'd rather be better to invest in a water filter and a reusable water bottle. And small things like this really do make a difference.
Great. Any other suggestion? Thank you, Eshan, for giving us that perspective. Even recycling small plastic bottles, not using plastic bottles, I think really goes a long way. Are we conscious about that? And does that throwing one plastic cup, does that bother us? If it's not bothering us, and I think all of you who are here, I think it bothers you to be throwing away plastic. And so I think that, that spreading that message to others, since you are environmental challenge leaders here, I think that becomes our moral obligation going forward. But any other questions, suggestions? Maybe opening it up to the audience to see if they have any questions for this amazing group. Yes, Mishra. Yes.
So I just wanted to just commend the students on their excellent work and their engagement in what are very complex issues, and breaking it down to bits that can be that everybody can take action on. So just want to extend my thanks and appreciation.
Thank you, Ms. McGrath. I think I want to also mention that your earlier panel will be a very good inspiration for all of these Eco Challenge winners, because our next challenge is on fast fashion. So maybe if we can get your permission to use the panel as a source of information, and then it can be like a source of inspiration for all of our ambassadors, eco ambassadors here, so that they can maybe start thinking of the new challenge for this year, which is on fast fashion. And we've titled this Fast Fashion, Last Fashion. That's what the title is. So we will see how, it all translates into more learning. Yes, I think Rusheel has a question.
Yes, I also am engaged and proud to hear these students from the African Scientific Institute's perspective. It's great to hear this engagement and bringing it to America, but we must also teach about the concerns of where these fossil fuels come from for the world, because in most cases, in their economies are dependent upon those revenues. And so the transition that we in America can help with them, we must teach our students that as the world's leading economic power in sustainable development goals, that we have a responsibility to the world to get it right. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rusheel. I think such an important point. What can the superpowers do to improve collaboration and improve countries to help all of us move towards a better sustainable future? I think that's so important. I think Suvid wants to. Yes, Suvid?
Yes, I just recently read an article which mainly talked about what steps India is taking to go to a more renewable energy type based energy system. So I think we can follow that, and basically a lot of countries around the world are trying to do this. So what India is doing is you have to gradually reduce the amount of fossil fuels you are using until they are so useless that nobody wants to use them. And then we should obviously give incentives to the people who are using the renewable energy, so it becomes more prevalent in society. So I think if you guys could read that article, it would also be really good if you want to.
Definitely share it with. I think it will be helpful to see how countries are working on their green pathways going forward. Neel is writing something. Any questions? Any other observations? Neel is writing what right now I believe we should use our power to save us from CO2. Any last observations? Anything before we move over to our next panel? Any last words? Maybe one line each from you all. What is it that you want to do next? What is bothering you, and what is it that you want to do next environmentally? Yes, Anvi?
I hope people start to realize the dangers of these carbon emissions and how climate change and global warming is becoming worse and worse, and not to always take the easy way out, not always to do something that's more convenient, but maybe to do something that's convenient for our planet that has our planet that has gave us a home that we can support throughout our daily lives. Because before these carbon emissions, the earth wasn't facing as many dangers. So if we can do something to prevent the gradual increase of that before it's too late, that would be great.
Thank you, Anvi. Super important. Adele, and then Suvid.
So I think that maybe I should something about my school, maybe telling everyone that you should recycle because we have compost bins and trash bins. Usually I see a lot of food in the trash bins, or like cardboard trays or something like in the trash instead of the recycling. And I just really want to help because it's not good for the environment.
That's such a keen observation, and I'm sure you will be able to spread more awareness on this in your school, Adele, and let us know if you need any help with maybe making a plan or something. Suvid, and then I think there's someone, Millie has her hands up, and then Neel. Suvid?
Yeah, so basically Anvi said what I wanted to say first, but that ties into my second point, which is basically first we have to spread the word. And we need to make the solutions more accessible. So for example, my school, sometimes I see like a lot of the waste in the trash can, like an immense amount of like pasta, let's say, in the trash bin. And they're doing that because although they really want to provide to shelters, there's a lot of things in my school for that. It's not very easy because there's a time block, the food will go bad. So I feel like if we try to develop new technologies that make these solutions easier to do, maybe less costly, maybe it's less effort to do, then the solutions will be much easier to do, and then citizens will actually follow them, because a lot of the reasons that they're not is because like they can't really do it without putting a lot of money or time into it. So if we make these easier, then the effects will be seen.
Making it cost effective for everyone to use. Adele?
To add on what Azuri just said, like to get when you like line up to get food or something, you can't just get a lot of food because it seems really good. You have to get the amount that you think you can eat so you don't waste everything and instead of eating all of it, you just dump all of it out, which is wasting food.
Thanks, Adele. Good point. Millie has her hand up. Millie?
I just wanted to take the opportunity to say that I have learned so much from each one of you. You are an inspiration, and I would like to encourage you to continue doing what you're doing, but also to reach out to your peers and in your community. Let this not be confined to your schools or your projects, but make sure you share it within your families, your community, inspire others who may not be at your schools, who may be at schools that don't have these capabilities or this awareness. But you are all very inspiring leaders, and I wish you best of luck as you continue.
Thank you so much, Millie, for your encouraging words. I think the students, would really appreciate and would take this seriously on what you said, inspire others and spread it in the community. That is really what is needed. We have Neel, Shriya, and Eshan has not spoken, and we have Alex, who's not spoken, I think, so far. So Shriya?
So Suvid already kind of said this, but I think one of the things I want to keep working on is like making like a lot of the solutions to the problems that we've thought of are easier said than done. Like for the problem about cars, I mean, yeah, it'd be really easy to stop driving and start walking in theory, but a lot of the time there's just, well, at least for me, like I'm supposed to be walking to school every day, but a lot of the times I just sleep through my alarm and end up driving to school. So it would be a lot easier to do, but it's not. So it just like, I want to come up with a way that makes all of these solutions easier to do than said.
Making it cost effective, making it easier to do so that we have more uptake. Thanks, Shriya, for being cognizant of that. Easier said than done, but yes, I think those are aspects that we need to consider as we go along. Neel?
I think what we're doing in like my town, Millburn, is everything good, but this happens in the most of my schools in Millburn. So people want to recycle, right? People say recycle to save the earth, but every single Friday, my school like janitor comes, right? He combines the garbage with the recycle combined in another trash can. He puts all of them combined. And I'm like, that also happens to, I think, other schools, because my friends say sometimes they do it also, which I think is bad, because recycling is saving the earth. But if you just combine the garbage in the recycle all in one, and all in one box, right, in sending it to the ocean, it's gonna harm animals, and and later in the future it's gonna harm us.
Thank you, Neel, for bringing that important point up. Being observant on where our trash is going is a part of being careful about others, careful about where this trash is going to get burnt. So I think it is our responsibility to reduce waste wherever we can, homes, schools, and let's start a campaign. Maybe you put your name up, Neel, and let's all of us in Millburn start a campaign on recycling at schools, recycling, at least information awareness. Let's start doing that as we go forward. I think it needs action, and let's from this conference onward build that action up. Jason?
Maybe like ask yourself before you actually take the action, is this the best choice for the earth? Is this the most convenient way to do it? And not for me, but for the earth and like other people that's living in.
Convenience versus is it good for the earth? Jason brings up this existential question that we need to ask ourselves. What is convenient, and is it good for the earth? Sometimes convenience is not, many times convenience is not good for the earth. Eshan?
I would continue by constantly like spreading awareness and keeping the main idea out there, that by like motivating people that there are better options than what they're currently doing, and this way they're like enabled to and transparently able to see what they could do to better make their impact on the environment.
So inspiring others, making good choices, talking to people about it, raising awareness. I think so much that we can do. Alex, do you want to add anything else?
Yes, so my environmental club at Millburn High School is also going to like try and hold a composting program starting from around May, I think. So I guess my school could like slowly transition to use composting.
Mm-hmm. Great. Pilot programs leading to bigger sustained programs. I think this is the right way to go. And thank you all for being those champions and making a difference, because we don't consider your project environmental challenge, one video that you did or project that you did, small. See, it's leading to so many of us getting aware of what you all did. So I would just continue to keep going on this path and inspiring others. Even adults are learning from you. So thank you all for being environmental champions and taking all of this forward. And thank you for taking the time to be with us today. You all are amazing and you all are inspiring. Please continue to remain like this, and hopefully we will translate into so many people working on these issues, and transforming this world to a better place. So thank you, and I really appreciate you all being here.